hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sales Wala Show presented by MyOperator. Today we are speaking to Mr. Abhishek Malik from HCAH, Healthcare at Home, and he is the national sales head over there. We'll talk to him about healthcare industry, how things change over there, how things have been changing over the last 2 years, which has been very crucial, and everything that involves sales. So first of all, thank you so much for talking to us, and I guess this is the second time I'm interacting with you in the last one year approximately, and it just feels कि
Yes.
अभी आपसे कुछ दिन पहले ही बात हुई थी.
Thank you, Sanat. Thank you for the opportunity. We keep on chatting over WhatsApp. And I remember हमारी
Yeah,
first discussion तो record हुई नहीं. And we spent almost 45 minutes, but that was
yeah,
a great experience. And
definitely.
उन दिनों time कुछ अलग था. COVID का समय था और घर पे थे तो हम बात काफी किए. But then it's good to be back here.
No, definitely it's great to have you even. And talking about those times, मतलब I would definitely want to start this episode from the fact कि you were there during COVID in healthcare. So abhi to COVID has passed, but I still feel that sales as a whole in healthcare must have been totally different during such crisis, because while and I know this from our past interaction, while the world was crying there's no sale, there's no business, you guys had so much business, so much crucial life saving business कि sales भी थी एक चीज और दूसरी तरफ ये आता था कि यार we need to save lives, forget about the numbers. This is
हाँ
important.
जी.
So क्या experience रहा आपका
Actually,
सर 2 साल?
actually we started so different experience in both the waves of COVID. I remember in the first wave, March में जब wave आया था, and we were trying to figure out what we need to do now, because offices were shut, transport was shut, borders were closed, and because they were and the hospital also started taking COVID patients, and non-COVID patients were asked to leave, and all that happened in the hospital. And in the kind of business we are in, which is a home healthcare business, our feeders are primarily hospitals. जब
Yeah,
हॉस्पिटल में पेशेंट नहीं थे तो हमारे पास भी पेशेंट कम हो रहे थे, एंड वी वर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट अ वेरी हाइब्रिड मॉडल ऑफ मैनेजिंग our own patients, and most importantly our own employees, because those employees were traveling, they were crossing border every day, and all that, everything came to us in just 2-3 days. So we were thinking कि shutdown होगा नहीं होगा, चीजें बंद होंगी नहीं होंगी, because it was so dubious that we couldn't take decision. Every day we were waiting for orders from the government to come. March 22nd, the moment we got an order from the government कि कल से सब बंद हो जाएगा,
सब बंद है.
for us we had two things in mind: to ensure our employees are safe, to ensure our patients are safe whom we are treating. So within like 8 to 12 hours, we reached out to all our patients across India. We told them that the only option is to keep our employees, which means कि आपके घर पे रहेगा, आप ही उसको देखभाल रखोगे और आपका देखभाल वो करेगा. And that's how you will be in a control environment, and we will also ensure कि जो भी supplies चाहिए, consumables चाहिए, we'll keep coming every week and or whenever, and we'll do that. So that was our first attempt, and then we were getting a lot of calls from patients, our hospital partners, and so on and so forth. So sale तो पहले के हफ्ते 10 दिन ही हुई. Then तो what we have done is we were trying to just manage whatever we could. So lot of such companies got we got in touch with them, and then we decided that let's have a let's share whatever we can. आपके पास जो है मुझे बताओ, मेरे पास जो capacity है, I'll serve accordingly. We were trying to help the the community. So वो किया. Second wave में तो it was wide. We all know what happened. We
Right, it
reached to
was
a stage that there
devastating.
were 40,000 positive cases every day. I remember 17-18 days when every day there was 45-48,000 cases. It was beyond imagination to even think कि कैसे help करेंगे. Hospital was choked. There was no oxygen. There was no medicine, and we were just trying to understand कि हम हर दिन कैसे करेंगे. As a company, we started working with government of Delhi, and we ran the call center for government of Delhi, where every patient who gets COVID and is home isolated, We were the one who were making a call on a daily basis and checking on their condition, and whatever help needed, we were trying to
Right.
help in whatever capacity. Also, we ran at least 4 5 home isolation, private isolation centers. We were managing more than 150 175 patients across Delhi NCR. So in different shape and form, about more than 1,000 patients under home isolation we were managing remotely. But
Right.
second wave में तो life बचाने में निकल गई, and I think कुछ नहीं समझ में आ रहा था, but इतना ही समझ में आ रहा था कि जितने कॉल्स आपके पास आ रही हैं उसको एटलीस्ट 100% कोशिश करके उनको सर्व किया जाए.
Try to achieve.
But I literally, that was not the kind of business anyone wants to do. So उसमें काफी disturbance था, but हाँ, somehow we survived through, and we managed. Yeah, in
I
between
see.
क्या होता है कि when you are in a home healthcare, best part is the home healthcare got a lot of respect from community, from hospitals, from government. So उसने हमारे को एक अच्छा facelift कराया post COVID. So
Right.
that was one thing which has helped, because hospital got choked in the first 48 hours. What was left is to create hospital like facility at home. So
Right.
जब हमने वो किया, and similar company जो home healthcare में जब मिलके वो सब हुआ, तो आपने 10 से 12,000 बेड्स घर पे ही क्रिएट कर लिए थे
Right.
बियॉन्ड हॉस्पिटल इन दिल्ली प्लस अदर सिटीज. So उसने आपको काफी रिस्पेक्ट दिया था, and that's something which has worked in our favor, which we were trying to get attention from lot of communities and bodies and
Yeah.
government from the last 8 9 years.
Good. So that is what I said. मतलब this is, as you mentioned, इस तरह का business किसी को नहीं चाहिए. But since it came your way, so it was a blessing in disguise, that kind of thing. Just like it was for IT companies, कहीं ना कहीं. On that note, when it comes to sales, I'd like to know one thing. जैसा आपने बोला ना कि the acceptance increases, or you wanted it to increase earlier, but अभी अचानक से वो चीज हो गई थी. Similarly, जब आपके sales executives जब जाते होंगे and when they used to pitch people or talk to people about buying home healthcare services, so I'm pretty sure that doesn't come at a cheap cost. First of all, it's private medical services. Secondly, it is at your home, so cost increases likewise. It doesn't matter कितनी cost है, that's separate. So आपके सेल्स पर्सन को डेफिनेटली कहीं ना कहीं लगता होगा कि सर कैसे बिकेगा, मतलब ना हॉस्पिटल्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं तो घर पे कोई इतना पैसा थोड़ी देगा. So how do you tell your sales team when they come up with such responses कि मार्केट नहीं ले रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, सब कोई लेना ही नहीं चाहता ये सर्विस, ऐसा ऐसा.
So उसमें उसमें देखो काफी चीजें मैटर करती है. How do you, so if I tell you about the product, what I sell or what healthcare at home sells is, we have 4 services. One service is for mass, which is of giving attendant at home. That comes at a cost of 24 25,000 per month, which I'm sure most of the people can afford in India, of having a 12-hour attendant at home, which comes at a cost of 24 25,000. Second is equipment, which we sell at a very market price rate. So if you ask for a wheelchair, walker, to high-end services like high-end products like ventilator, respiratory, all of them available on sale and on rental. Those are also as per market. हाँ, there is a competition at every level. मैं 500 का बेचता हूँ, कोई 450 का बेचता होगा. But coming from a brand, from a whole, there is a whole logistic, whole back-end team involved. You get a real-time data. You can ask for any kind of troubleshoot anytime. All that facilities is going to be there when you pick up a service from a brand. Third is a service of post ICU care at home. We set up a ICU post hospital. If a patient wants to come home from the ICU directly, we create a home-based care. Fourth is a center-based care. So what we do is, we are the largest hospital out of hospital, where we have taken over a space of center-based care, home-based care, and there are commodities like medical equipment and caregiver. So हमारे पास 500 से लेके 15,000 तक की सर्विसेज अवेलेबल है, depending on what kind of patient, what clinical condition of does the patient have, what is the background of the patient, where does the patient stay, what kind of services, length of services, उसको सब दिखा के देख के 500 से लेके 15,000 तक की सर्विसेज हैं. So which means कि if you put it across to the salesperson कि मेरे पास मास के लिए भी है, मेरे पास प्रीमियम सेगमेंट के लिए भी है. Accordingly, you can convince your salesperson that you have to offer 4 product to the doctors and to the customer, saying that depending on your diagnosis, your clinical condition, your background, I can give you from 500 to 15,000 because your condition is this, and you need a
Right.
certain care which will add up a extra cost of having a doctor, having a physio, having a dietitian, having a consumable medical equipment. It will go up to X amount. So
Right.
वैसे आपका डिस्कशन चालू करना है. इट इज नॉट अ प्रोडक्ट सेलिंग, इट्स अ कॉन्सेप्ट और सर्विस सेलिंग.
All
सो
right.
आप ये देखो, कभी आप हॉस्पिटल में जाते हो तो आप ये तो नहीं पूछते कि पेशेंट अगर आईपीडी में है या रूम के अंदर है तो नर्स की आने की कॉस्ट कितनी है. एक जीडीए ने जब मुझे वॉशरूम तक ले गया तो उसकी कॉस्ट कितने की है. पेपर आया तो कितने की कॉस्ट है. वहां पर अगर एक कस्टर्ड रखा हुआ है, खिचड़ी रखी हुई, तो उसकी कॉस्ट कितने की है. आप एक 5,000 रुपये देते हो, 8,000
Correct.
रुपये देते हो. wherein home care में, because the concept people take it कि यार नर्स कितने की होगी, 30,000 रुपए की होगी, मुझसे ये 1,00,000 रुपए क्यों ले रहे हैं. but no one understands कि उसके बैकग्राउंड में there is a backup nurse available, there is a whole team available to take care of patients. so अगर आप अपना बिजनेस मॉडल क्लियरली समझा सकते हो अपने सेल्स वालों को, आप अपना सेलिंग पिच बता सकते हो सेल्स को कि यार we accommodate all kind of patients, I think it becomes easy. Plus you have to give a right tool, right tech, and a right territory to the salesperson to perform. When I say tool, it means you have to have a right brochures, collaterals, case studies, presentation when you go and speak to a doctor. When I say technology, you have to give your basic technology like your software, your iPad or a app or something. When I say
Right.
territory, you have to choose the right territory and geography to make sure that business comes in.
I see. So person and job fit, mota mota, you need to understand when it comes to it. And you also,
हाँ,
what I can also gather is you need to inform your salespersons as much as you can, probably train them in the process and give them all the right tools. यहाँ पे एक next question जो दिमाग में आता है वो ये है, something that I have observed in sales departments a lot is that in some companies people tell whatever the company is earning to the lowest level salesperson. That is probably the smaller scale companies जहाँ पे there is not a very high hierarchy. ठीक है, जहाँ पे there are multiple levels of hierarchy, people might refrain on telling कि company ने कितना business किया, क्या किया, क्या नहीं किया. So is while we both will agree कि information regarding the product needs to be passed on, I also would like to understand from you कि what is your opinion as a sales head who's heading the entire team of sales, these kind of information which may not seem relevant to the executive but definitely will make him feel more included into the organization. इसको शेयर करने के ऊपर आपका क्या पर्सपेक्टिव है?
see, I'm 100% convinced with the idea कि we should or as a company should share the information to the last person. अगर sales को ही नहीं बताओगे तो किसको बताओ. अगर सेल्स को ही नहीं पता चलेगा कि हमने रेवेन्यू कम किया है, ज्यादा किया है, कम किया है तो क्यों कम किया है, ज्यादा किया है तो क्या ऐसा अच्छा किया था, तो आप किसी को और को बता रहे हो तो फायदा नहीं है. See, other departments are totally, they are enablers to sales department. अगर सेल्स को पता रहेगा कि यार मेरे को X करना था and as per my run rate I am landing at X minus 30% and I have 10 days to go, then the whole function will start operating in a different manner. If you say कि we are already at X and जो भी हम अभी करने वाले हैं that will be a surplus for next month, so वो और अपने आप को push करेंगे कि यार next month की नौकरी easy हो जाएगी, आज ही खेल लो. That's how it is. But I think it's very I am clear in my mind and I operate in the same manner that all the information which are very important and relevant should go to the salesperson.
Right. So regarding information also, the next part of it which we just said कि we both agree on कि information about the product should be there. However, in healthcare, one important aspect comes in, just like I spoke to one finance guest over here, कि in sectors में finance, healthcare, information at the minutest level is very important. आपने अपने client को इधर का उधर, you tell him A or B, and everything changes for the client, the cost, everything practically, and it's a matter of life and death for them. Same in finance, it's a matter of life and death for the person because ultimately money is the end goal for everybody. So, how do you ensure as a sales head that even at the smallest level of your company, the product knowledge is 100% through and through, and the team is performing just like they should in a standard environment, I'd say.
So there is no standard or there is no, so I see bookish language mein obviously you do a lot of onboarding, so there is an onboarding process, then there are exposure to different product heads,
Yeah,
and then you put a give a shadow opportunity to the new buddy in the system, and then you do this in some shape and form for over 15 days,
yeah. But all of
and
that is
then you
bookish, as you said. मतलब, all
हाँ
of this is
वो
like
चलता
वो
है,
motivational quotes जैसा ही. But what exactly
वो
can be
करना आज
done to
पड़ता है,
ensure
वो आज
that?
भी करना पड़ता है, और you do a crash course. So what you
Okay,
do is yeah, then so इसमें ना बहुत important होता है the kind of talent you're hiring. So if you know
okay,
that this person whom you are hiring has a certain skill set already, then you can do a grooming on a kind of skill set you want him to groom, you want him to learn. So
ठीक है.
वो एक talent hiring becomes very very important. Then the kind of product you want him to sell becomes second important. So you
Okay,
can't have a certain standard training for all skill set people. So skill set based training अगर आप करते हो, I think that gives a lot of that gives a quick return to the system. And
okay,
so skill set training मतलब अगर if I am hiring you as a person Sanat, and I know that you are very, you're open, you know how to communicate, you can engage, so I will ask you to sell the most premium product which has a high margin to the which gives a high margin to the business,
right,
because I know that you are very very, you can speak about it over time and again, you can engage around it with the doctor, with the customer, whosoever, and you will get me a
right,
business. So I will groom you for that kind of business, plus I will tell you कि यार ये तीन चीज भी और करते हैं, देख लेना if you get a query. But
right,
someone who is very process oriented, someone who's very standard तरीके से चलना चाहता है life में, so I will train him and tell him कि यार ये तीनों चारों चीजें हैं, wherein important is one, but this is how you have to learn, this is how you have to approach, these are the set of doctors, these are the set of people, and this is how you should communicate, this is my sales matrix, and I will check 1 2 3 4 5 things from you. Then there are
okay.
certain set of people in the market जो कि उनको बस जो भी बोल दो कि हाँ यार ये बेचना है, वो जाके बेच आएंगे, प्रोसेस तो बिल्कुल ही चला
Right. They
गया,
need that free hand. Sir,
फ्री
पूछो
हैंड
बताओ
चाहिए
मत.
उनको, हाँ कुछ पूछो मत सर कितना करना है, 10 लाख कर देंगे. सो उनके साथ क्या होता है ना कि यू हैव टू वर्क वेरी क्लोजली, बिकॉज अगर
Right,
वो ऐसा, अगर वो आपके अगेंस्ट गिरे तो आप फंसोगे, अगर वो आपके साथ खड़े हैं तो आप बच जाओगे. बट वहां पर क्या होता है ना, वहां पर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज टू कीप और मेक देम अंडरस्टैंड कि इफ दे वांट टू ग्रूम देमसेल्फ इन लाइफ, और दे सी देमसेल्फ एज अ सेल्स हेड, personal networking say you can get a x number of business, but you need to be a part of process to reach to a next level.
certain,
and
right,
and the larger part of my, or the early part of my sales career, I always had this feeling कि यार मुझे जानते हैं लोग, I will get business, don't worry. But
right,
as I moved up to the ladder, move up to the cadre, I realized कि आपको जानने से एक certain push आता है, but then you
right,
need people to join the sales team, और उनको लोग वैसे नहीं जानते जैसे आपको जानते हैं, which means that you have to set up a process, and then you have to
right,
monitor a process, and that's how you generate more business, and that's how I now believe is making a more sense.
right, right. So that's a lot of insight over there. We'll come to all of this, but before that, I have something for you. That is a rapid fire round, a small round where I'll ask you 4 5 questions. Now that is going to be in quick succession as rapid fire is, and we'll just simply start with that. So for the record, like Abhishek never knew about this. Okay. So let's start with a very basic question. Abhishek, what do you love the most about sales?
I love networking. The best part of
Okay.
sales is networking.
Okay. And on the contrary, what do you dislike the most about sales?
What I dislike, at times traveling.
Okay. So your job involves traveling. Like it's not
Yeah,
just an inside sales job.
a lot of
All
traveling.
right. Okay. Now, on that front, related to that question, which kind of sales, if given a chance, would you enjoy the most? Telecalling, inside sales, or field sales?
Always field sales.
Okay, so you have a thing for field sales. I can see like
Yeah,
traveling,
yeah.
field sales. Fair enough. And again, on that same note, although I'm pretty sure the answer to this question, but uh, would you prefer work from home or work from office?
I would prefer uh, answer would be work from office, rather work from ground, if I can say, because that's always because that makes more sense for me, because if I'm on ground, I'm meeting people, there are timelines to meet, and then you have to deliver results and so on and so forth.
Right.
uh, so first is work from ground,
All right.
second would be office, and then work from home.
All right. So work from home is the last choice for you, anyways.
हाँ, वर्क फ्रॉम होम में होता नहीं है ना, बियॉन्ड अ पॉइंट इट्स टू मच ऑफ कोऑर्डिनेशन, आई फील यार। आई मीन यू
Yeah.
इनिशियली आई लव्ड इट, बिकॉज 12-13 साल के बाद आपको एकदम से ब्रेक मिला कि यू हैव टू बी एट
Correct.
होम फॉर आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी डेज एंड मंथ्स। सो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, एंड आई एंजॉयड एटलीस्ट 60 days, द फर्स्ट 60 days। देन आई
Right.
रियलाइज
Right.
कि यार दिस इज बिकमिंग सो मच ऑफ कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन वन डिपार्टमेंट टू अनदर डिपार्टमेंट,
All right.
और ह्यूमन टच ही गायब हो गया लाइफ में से।
Correct. Fair enough. So moving on with this, um, what would you prefer to have? A client who has more value to give, or like a larger client in terms of money, but he or she is tough to grab, or a smaller client, but they are easier to grab? Which one would you choose?
Best is when you crack the most difficult client. That feeling is great, because when
All
you
right.
crack a most difficult client, for sure he will give you business for the longest time.
Wonderful. All right. Next is, what is the major motivator for a salesperson? Is it incentive or is it awards or recognition? Or in like on a general sense?
General sense, what I heard from a lot of salespeople is incentive,
Okay.
uh, because that keeps them rolling on a monthly basis, and that's how they
Okay.
plan their expenses also.
Correct. Correct.
But I think, yeah, I think incentive for a lot of salespeople, I believe so.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
guess for the leadership, it is the recognition because their incentive and all
huh.
doesn't make a difference anyways.
So leadership level pe the incentives are very different, and
Yeah.
it's based on the company's performance, not on the department or individual performance. Their
Right.
recognitions are very important.
Right. That the value comes from recognition. All right.
Hmm.
Now, next thing is, and this is the second last question here, that how would you choose to give discount? Would you go ahead and reduce the price on a particular product, or would you go ahead and tell the client the price is not moving, but you can get extra services for that price?
Extra services is always best way of giving, uh, or rather, extra services comes with a lot of benefit for the organization, because what you're losing is just a cost amount, and that's how you excite a customer also कि ठीक है वो 5 चीज मांग रहा था उसको 8 मिल गया है, but then the extra 3 things were anyways at a lower cost, which you can balance at on an Excel. Yeah, and
Hmm.
against giving a discount by percentage on the total billing is a loss to the organization, I believe.
Okay. Now, the last question for you. If you could go back in time and meet the then Abhishek Malik who started his career in sales, what would be that one thing that you would tell him?
Uh, I would what I will tell him to the person 13 years before, same me 13 years before.
Yeah, मतलब when you're starting your job, if you could go back in time and you were like पहले दिन जाके उसे sales के बारे में क्या बता?
I'll tell him, yeah, मैं सोचा नहीं, but I'll tell him to be uh, I'll tell him to be more aggressive. I'll tell him to be more play at the front foot. I think to be more aggressive and play at the front foot, because sales drive the organization. Sales drive the beyond numbers. Sales drive the organization. Sales drive other departments also. So
Correct.
जितना ज्यादा आपके पास आइडियाज होंगे, आप उतना ही उसको एग्जीक्यूट करा सकते हो थ्रू अदर डिपार्टमेंट्स, एंड मैं उसको ये भी बताऊंगा कि sales attracts a lot of attention. So
Hmm.
it is always good to be to look smart, to look confident, because सब सारे लोग आपसे ही पूछेंगे आकर. So
Correct.
it's very important to dress up well, very important to look smart, smell nice, and so on and so forth, जो बहुत सारे लोग miss कर देते हैं in the scheme of thing.
Right. All right. So that is quite an insight. Ki, so earlier you were not that aggressive, was it so in the starting days of your career?
तो होता क्या ना कि you always learn from someone who is above you. So
Okay.
आपका ट्रेनिंग कैसे हुआ है, आप किसके सुपरविजन में रहे हो, all that really matters. So and then when you realize that the real world is something else, then you get a shock of a life then कि यार मैं तो जो कर रहा था and जो expectation थी वो बहुत different थी, and the supervisor above you never discussed that. So then time comes in your life that you start working really hard, and उसके अगेंस्ट में रिजल्ट थोड़ा स्लो ही आता है, बिकॉज रिजल्ट को तुम, आउटकम को तुम चेंज नहीं कर सकते, तुम अपनी एक्टिविटी और इनपुट्स को कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, स्पीड अप कर सकते हो, पर आउटकम वैसे ही आएगा. बट अगर तुम्हारा इनपुट और एक्टिविटीज आर ऑल्सो एवरेज, अबव एवरेज, बट नॉट एज पर व्हाट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक्सपेक्ट, तो रिजल्ट तो और स्लो आएगा. So it's all about ki now when I am at a position that I know that speed is very important, and that's what I'm saying, reaching the right time, doing the right conversation, closing the right deal is very important. उसके लिए आपको स्पीड होना चाहिए, उसके लिए आपको अवेलेबल होना चाहिए. सो वो चीज मैं बोलूंगा, अगर मैं 13 साल पुराने अभिषेक को मिलता और उसको बताऊंगा कि दिस इज द रियल वर्ल्ड, सो प्रिपेयर फ्रॉम डे जीरो.
Okay. So there comes another question I'll ask on a managerial front, and I think this is good for everybody who is in sales or not in sales as well. There is this one thing that life has become very fast-paced. So has business, and now people are very much confused about two things. Should they thrive for perfection? Because of course, quality versus quantity का जो discussion होता है. Should they thrive for perfection, or should they thrive for speed? Perfection आता रहेगा. काम ज्यादा निपटा लो, दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट.
मेरा तो व्यू ये है कि जो पहले हो जाए वो कर लो. देखो, perfection has a different statement for different person. For you perfection means something else, for me perfection means something else, but what matters is कि काम हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. So कहते हैं ना कि 29 या 30 साल में शादी करो, या 27 साल में शादी करो, या 33 साल में शादी करो, कम्युनिटी का व्यू हर स्टेज पे अलग ही होगा. बट जीना तो आपको ही है, करना तो आपको ही है. आपके साथ ही जो होगा वो कोई नहीं बताएगा आगे. सब, हर कोई ये बोलेगा यार ये सही उम्र है नहीं, कोई बोलेगा है, कोई बोलेगा लेट हो चुके हो. बट अल्टीमेटली व्हाट आई मीन टू से इज कि जो हो जाए वो कर लो. परफेक्शन और क्लोज टू परफेक्शन में ज्यादा फर्क नहीं होता है. While when I say कर लो, you always attempt to do it in a right manner, in a right fashion. 19-20 भी होगा ना, फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. बट अगर आप करोगे ही नहीं because you want to do it in a most perfect manner, then there is no value. So करना important है, perfection with the time आ ही जाएगा.
I see. And उसी के साथ एक और, since you mentioned कि like people will anyway say something or the other, I'd like to understand this one thing. It is related to what you earlier said regarding supervisors and managers who may not be, I'd say, that good for a particular kind of executive. Right? They might be helping the other executive to excel wonderfully, but for some kind of executives, maybe वो person उसे slow down कर रहा है. So I would want to know, how can a salesperson identify at his level that are his goals are in line with organizational goals, and is his supervisor, his manager, being able to help him in the right direction? And then if not, वो क्या steps ले सकता है? Is always, because we see ना sales person बहुत जल्दी job छोड़ते हैं at times. 6 महीना हुआ, नहीं समझ आया कि तो ये मैनेजर तो मेरे को सुबह शाम बोलता रहता है, तो मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ, मेरे से नहीं होगा. ठीक है. So what can be other steps apart from just hopping jobs?
So I think feedback mechanism is very important. So before feedback, I would still give rating to the talent, hiring of talent, because if you hire the right talent, and that talent comes with one preparation कि उसने आपके बारे में, कंपनी के बारे में पढ़ाई करी है, that means that person is serious about his job, and he has aligned his interest with the interest of the organization. That is paramount for me. Second comes कि आपका feedback mechanism. So feedback mechanism has two aspects. One is a professional aspect कि you do a professional feedback mechanism, 3 months, 6 months, quarter, whatever. Then you do it offline in a form of candid discussions, going out for a dinner and so on and so forth. So ये सबका ना blend ही चलता है. There is no right way, but as you move up in a ladder, you realize, or when you look at a salesperson eye, or you look at, you when you address the crowd, you understand कि कौन सा बंदा छुपा हुआ है, कौन सा performance कर चुका है तो आगे खड़ा है, who is very confident, who is very new in the system. Accordingly, you mold the discussion. So hiring a right talent, doing a feedback mechanism at least solves 80% of the problem. अब जो 20% है, that's a very person specific problem, or it could be a business problem. उसको आप धीरे धीरे मोल्ड करते रहते हो. Then there you don't have a right answer, but आप उसको मोल्ड करते रहते हो. You give him other opportunities, you move him to another territory, you change his supervisor, you give him a different product to sell, and that's how you try to keep the person retained in the system. But if you have a right talent during the hiring, if you realize that this person is right, then you organize a right feedback mechanism, online, offline, and then 80% problems are solved. 20% you have to find an answer, and that's how life is.
20% is very subjective. So you talk a lot about hiring. From the very beginning of this episode, we have been mentioning the word hiring a lot. Let's talk about that only. That how exactly can somebody hire the right talent? Is there a set of questions which will help a manager understand somebody? क्योंकि कई बार इसका जवाब मुझे जो मिलता है, where I'm coming from is कि you need to ask them what are their life goals, where do they want to see them, how do they relate with the company. But this is again a little bit bookish to talk to. 5 साल में कहाँ खुद को देखते हो, that has become a very old HR question. So I'm pretty sure that is not the answer to this. So what according to you are those few questions, few topics, or at least the line of questioning that a manager should have in mind?
So एक तो hiring इसलिए ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं कुछ दिनों से hiring काफी कर रहा था for the new territories. So I think half of my day goes in hiring. But I think what for me personally, and this is very personal, for me what works is the feel of the candidate, the feel, और उसको आप कैसे कह सकते हो,
gut feeling about him कि ये
गट
कर लेगा नहीं
फीलिंग कह
करेगा.
लो या फील कह लो. हाँ, वो फील आता है. वो फील का ना बड़ा एक वो एक्सपीरियंस से आता है कह सकते हो, या वो आता है कि that's how I am as a person. If I like the environment of a room, I can spend time. If I don't like the environment of a room, despite कि उस कमरे में कोई नहीं है, I do not want to spend a minute more. Coming to your question, I think once you start talking to a person who's a who come for an interview, you realize that that person, if that person isn't aware of your business model, then that person is not fit for the job because he has just come to change a job. अगर उस बंदे ने पढ़ाई करी है, वो बंदा रिलेट कर पाता है, and he can share some experience of, let's say, hospital experience of, or experience of taking any kind of such services, or he knows healthcare because he was in a healthcare, all that experience of taking a healthcare services, experience of being or experience of, or have a right reason of moving from X company to Y company, or the reason is genuine कि उसको टीम चाहिए थी, टीम नहीं मिला, whatever, कोविड हैज अ कोविड के नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट बहुत रहे हैं. सो अगर आप ये 5-6 क्वेश्चन स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन पूछते हो, तो मेरे को लगता है कि फॉर मी इट सॉल्व्स 70-75% ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम. सो फर्स्ट इज द हन or the gut feeling. Second is your the reason why he wants to switch a job, whether it is whether he has studied the business model, understood what I offer, वो करता है. Third is there is a relatability of that in his life. कभी उसने ऐसा कुछ फेस किया है तो आप रिलेट कर पाते हो. You become more confident when you speak about कि मैं ये कंपनी क्यों ज्वाइन करना चाहता हूँ. Fourth becomes the reason why he wants to leave the last job. उस बीच में भी काफी कुछ पता चल जाता है कि वो वहाँ करता क्या था, वो किस ब्रांड से एसोसिएटेड था. If a person is associated with something like Abbott and Cipla of the world, then he has gone through a certain set of training. He knows a certain matrix. I don't have to ask question कि तू टीम कैसे हैंडल करता है, ये कैसे करता है, वो करता है. That he's already done. And all then one more important thing is, before I close a person, is his past experience in what category of healthcare or which category division he has worked and which piece of healthcare he has worked. Healthcare itself is very vast. अगर उसने
so basically how he can be useful to you, मतलब किस डिपार्टमेंट में आपके काम आएगा, and that can vary from company to company. आप किसी
And I
और
also look at the
इंडस्ट्री का तो ऐसा?
family front. I also look at, because that gives me a lot of confidence कि ये बंदा और ये boy or a girl, if the person is married then and have a kid, so the person is stable. And stable, when I say stable, is gone through a certain stage of his life कि इसके लिए
Hmm.
job important है,
Right.
and he will not switch a job like that. Second, if a person is 25-26 साल का, then 2-3 नौकरी छोड़ चुका है 1-2 साल के अंदर, then for him it's just any other job. So ये
Right.
4-5 चीजें मैं generally check करता हूँ. I don't go deep in terms of किसको मैट्रिक्स बताओ, ये बताओ, because that that's something which doesn't, I don't feel like I should ask question, because मेरे यहाँ के मैट्रिक्स बहुत different होंगे.
हाँ मतलब whatever you know anyways we need to train you, तो बेसिक्स पता होगा तभी you are applying types, और वो आपके एटीट्यूड में दिख जाएगा. I get it. So
हाँ, I think
your hiring process is mostly based on subjective factors, कि बंदा
hmm.
आपको कैसा लग रहा है और उसके around you ask those questions to him. I get it. All right. So before we close this conversation, I want to know your tips, advices, hacks, techniques, whatever you call them, for two kinds of people. One is the sales manager, the other one is sales executives. So let's start with the sales managers. What would be your three important tips that sales managers should follow to become sales heads, VPs, AVPs today where you are?
So I think process orientation is very important to know. So I think what is most important is to know the vision of the organization, to
Okay.
know what the company wants. If your vision, or if your knowledge is, or your vision, or you're not thinking of how company is thinking, so there is always a disparity. You will perform in a different manner. Maybe you will feel that आपकी performance बहुत अच्छी चल रही है, but company may not take that as a good performance. So knowing the company vision, company's thinking is very, very important. Passing out the same information to the team is very, very important. And doing the morning, and there has to be a process around it. Process of doing a morning huddle, doing a evening huddle, morning, evening, whatever, doing a
Right.
weekly catch up with the team on performance. So if you know that my performance of the team's performance is in a right direction, I am aligned with the company's thought process, and then you are working in a right process, which is there is certain metrics. You check on the metrics on a regular basis. किसका क्या परफॉर्मेंस चल रहा है, किसकी क्या परसेंटेज चल रही है, किसका क्या रेवेन्यू कंट्रीब्यूशन चल रहा है, ये एडिशनल कितना लेके आया, whatever. If you follow this 2-3 things, I think you become eligible for moving to the next
Higher
level in
roles.
life.
Right.
Yes.
And now let's talk about the executive levels. I'm pretty sure you speak to that level of team very often, sometime or the other. So क्या advice रहता है आपके उन लोगों के लिए जो एकदम field पे है?
तो एग्जीक्यूटिव लेवल पे मेरा एडवाइस ये रहेगा कि तो फर्स्ट गेट योरसेल्फ अलाइंड टू टू द कंपनीज बिजनेस मॉडल, because end of the day, if you are not aligned, that then you are, because executives are the one who are doing the maximum selling.
Right.
So, and then the managers, and then at my level I don't go and do sales while I'm a sales head. What I
Right.
do is I manage the whole team structure, culture, and so on and so forth. So
Right.
sales executive ke liye, it is very, very important to know what is the right sale, what is the wrong sale, what is, till what extent I can do X amount of things, whether it is a discount or an approval and so on and so forth, and maintain
Right.
a good relationship with your clients. So because
Okay.
ultimately, if you are known in your territory, if your clients are aware of you, they respect you as a person, and you're doing a right sale, and you know what are the ethics, then that's sufficient यार. उस उम्र में उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
Fair point. इसीलिए just a small question before I wind this up, which I'm pretty sure executives के दिमाग में बहुत आता है कि हम ना एक चीज होती है sales pitch, कि बहुत जगह पे in movies everywhere you see there is a sales pitch and they make it sound as if sales pitch बोल दिया तो conversion तय है. So just want your opinion on that for all the executives कि sales pitch पे चीजें कितनी dependent होती है और can there be a sales pitch really? Is there a formula or is it just subjective to each and everyone?
So sales pitch important होती है, but sales pitch, so there is a standard sales pitch कि आई कम whatever X कंपनी है, X प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, मैं आपको ये सोल्यूशन देता हूँ इस प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट का. सो ये एक सेल्स पिच तो इम्पोर्टेंट है. उसको कैसे आप ट्विक करते हो, कैसे आप उसको, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एलिवेटर पिच, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड सेल्स पिच फॉर 150 सेकेंड्स के. आपने उसको एक कमरे में घुसे, आपने 150 सेकेंड या जो भी आप उसको कह लो 2.5 मिनट आपने पिच किया, आपने 30 सेकेंड में फीडबैक लिया, बाहर आ गए. सो देयर लॉट ऑफ सच jargons, बट आई थिंक knowing the sales pitch is important, because you should know the sales pitch, and that's how someone has given a sales pitch to someone. वहां से वो पैसा आया, उसने कंपनी फॉर्म करी और उससे आप उस कंपनी के पार्ट हो. सेल्स पिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कैसे वो सेल्स पिच को आप ट्विक करोगे इन टू इंश्योर दैट यू स्ट्राइक अ कॉन्वर्सेशन इज समथिंग विच डिपेंडेंट टू पर्सन. आप उसको ट्विक करना ही चाहिए, बिकॉज आई कांट I can't learn, or I should not learn how my CEO speaks, or I should not learn how my leadership guy speaks when it comes in front of another client. मेरे पास अपना नेचुरल स्टाइल होना चाहिए बोलने का. सो बोलना क्या है, बोलना ये है कि प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट ये है, उसका सोल्यूशन ये है, और मैं आपको उसके बारे में मिलना चाहता हूँ, ये बात करना चाहता हूँ, या मैं ये बताने आया हूँ. अगर आप प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट ही नहीं बताओगे, while everyone knows कि प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट एग्जिस्ट करती है, बट अगर आप उसको एम्फेसिस नहीं करोगे और उसका सोल्यूशन नहीं बताओगे, या पहले सोल्यूशन बता दोगे फिर प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट बताओगे, देन देयर इज द होल फन इज गॉन. आपको स्टार्ट ही ऐसा करना है कि ये जनरल प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, एंड आई कम फ्रॉम दिस कंपनी एंड दिस इज द सोल्यूशन आई ऑफर. If a person is interested or excited, then you start doing the discussion about the organization. फिर आप कैसे भी चालू करो कि लीडरशिप ये है और हम कंपनी ये है, या कंपनी ये है, लीडरशिप ये है और मैं ये हूँ, वो फिर सेकेंडरी है.
फ्रेम लेकर चल सकते हो आप एक रेफरेंस का कि ये करना है, बोलो कुछ भी.
कैसे भी उसको प्रेजेंट
हेडिंग पता है आपको एसे की बेसिकली. आपको एसे की हेडिंग्स पता है, कंटेंट आप कुछ भी लिखो वो आपका पर्सनल है, पर आपको ऐसे हेडिंग का ऐसे पता है.
3 चीज बोलनी है उसको. कैसे भी बोल दो, पर 3 चीज बोल के आनी है. फ्लो में बोलोगे अच्छा लगेगा, 1 2 3 बोलोगे अच्छा लगेगा, बिकॉज पीपल कैन रिलेट.
टूट फूट के बोलोगे तो फिर वो सेल भाई ज्यादा एफर्ट लेगी नहीं होगी.
तो सेल्स पिच में क्या होता है ना, सेल्स पिच में वही चीज कवर होती है, but in a very different manner. So I don't expect someone to copy someone's style. What I expect is you at least cover that what solution are you coming with, and speak about the problem, offer a solution, and then do the engagement.
Engagement can come after that. उससे पहले का जो sorted वो है problem solution, ये सब आप लेके चल सकते हो. Engagement तो फिर वो person to person dependent हो गया. उसने आपको problem के बारे में और बताया, तो फिर आपने उससे और चीजें डिस्कस करी कि क्या क्या solution हो सकते हैं. Fair point. I guess that is something that people would definitely want to know कि sales pitch का actual concept क्या होता है. Thank you so much Abhishek for talking to us, talking to me for so much time. It is a pleasure to have you, and I'm pretty sure that people who watch this episode will definitely take home a lot of stuff. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Sales pitch is something जो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ा चढ़ा के बताया था कि यार follow this pitch, and in movies like Wolf of Wall Street we have seen पेपर पकड़ा दिया, यही बोलना and sale happens. So what's your take on sales pitch?
यार वो एक्चुअली ना मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. मतलब सबके, आई एम श्योर कि हर एक सेल्स वाले के साथ होता है कि when you start working somewhere there is a set sales pitch जो आपको दी जाती है. And the reason is कि because initially when you are learning new product, तो आप कहीं पे भी ना फंसो नहीं, but that doesn't mean कि आपको सेल्स पिच exactly follow करनी है. हर एक का सेल्स करने का तरीका अलग होता है. मतलब मेरा तरीका अलग हो सकता है आपके तरीके से या किसी और के तरीके से, और जो सेल्स पिच में लिखा होता है वो मोस्टली प्रोडक्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग के रिगार्डिंग ज्यादा रहता है. सो ऑब्वियसली इन एंड आउट आप ऊपर नीचे कर सकते हो, यू कैन प्ले विद इन द सेल्स पिच.